It's been called the last great privatisation, the Rann government's planned sell-off of the state's forests. It's causing deep resentment in the home of forests, the southeast. But now closer to the family home, and the hardware and timber industries are claiming it will force up the price of housing. They've also dismissed the government's study into the impact of the sale. This is the house that Alex Pupolo built, with a little bit of help from his apprentice. It's one of a countless number he's done over 30 years as a builder, but now he's worried the Rann government's plans for forests threatens that.
The thing is, we don't know what happens when they sell it off, do we? I think jobs for Australia. That's basically what I say. You keep giving overseas all our products and all that. What's there for our kids? Nothing.
His fear comes from uncertainty over who or what's going to effectively own the state's forests in the future. Faced with an overall budget position that Agriculture Minister Michael O'Brien described as unsustainable, the state government plans to sell up to 100 years of harvest rights from the forests. The government does not use the P word, privatisation, for its plans, but critics certainly do.
This is the last big privatisation, and it's a privatisation that will have disastrous consequences. The irony is it's being done by a political party that fought tooth and nail against the privatisation of ETSA. You really wonder what they believed in then and what they believed in now.
It is a privatisation. It's the sale of South Australian assets to a foreign entity. I mean, let's be honest, the government's broke. They need to fund things like the Adelaide Oval, desal plant, the RAH. They have a lot of election promises that I believe they can't meet, and this is a quick fix. It's a cash grab.
It's sparked a firestorm of debate in Forest Heartland, the southeast. It's also resulted in a Senate inquiry, something not usually done with state issues, and that inquiry met in Mount Gambier this week.
This is a national issue because it could set a precedent that could damage regional Australia in a very irrevocable sense.
And Wattle Range Mayor Peter Gandolfi had no qualms telling the inquiry that a sale could gut jobs from an industry he says makes up 18% of the local economy.
To put that in perspective, if Adelaide was to suffer the same percentage of job losses, there'd be 80,000 people out of jobs, and then the flow-on effect. Now, it wouldn't happen in Adelaide, so I think the state government needs to look at it and say, well, this is how seriously it does affect our local economy.
But the inquiry also heard from other industries outside of the southeast. Rod Evans runs one of the state's largest hardware chains. He's also president of the South Australian Hardware Association.
We represent Bunnings and Stratco, Mitre 10, Home Hardware, Banner Hardware. We represent all those people, and they've asked me to make sure this doesn't happen, this sale doesn't happen, to try as best I can.
He says almost 100% of the timber stocked by his stores is from South Australia, and he expects it would be much the same for other hardware stores. His belief is if the forests are sold, they're likely to go to an overseas buyer, and whatever assurances may be given, the state will lose control of a key building material.
What we're concerned about is the availability of timber into the future. At the moment, the timber, it's 80% of the timber that the plantation, Forestry SA, manages 80% of the plantation timber in the southeast. That's timber that goes to our housing, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so these are the common constructions we deal with nowadays with the master bedrooms.
So back at the house that Alex built, Jason Howes from the Timber and Building Materials Association is having a look around.
You got your second bedroom, your wet area.
His organisation, which is funded by the industry, places and trains apprentices. He argues selling forests risks not only those jobs, but could make homes more expensive.
It is the primary source of framing material, and we would be at the mercy of imported product. I envisage that we would have a shortage of product here, and would be at the mercy of overseas control. If that's the case, then we're also at the mercy of price.
The flow-on effects of the forward selling will be enormous. It won't just be the southeast, it'll be the entire South Australian housing industry, it'll be the hardware stores, it'll be the builders, the carpenters. The effect on local industry, on home building, on construction is potentially enormous.
7:30 South Australia asked Treasurer Jack Snelling to comment on these claims and to explain the government's position. He declined, and indeed the government's position is no one is saying anything until a regional impact statement comes out. That's being done by a private consulting firm, ACIL Tasman. Both Jason Howes and Rod Evans met with the consulting firm, and they claim what's being done is not going to measure regional impacts.
Well, I come away from that feeling the so-called regional impact statement was really an economic statement. It was to see what the dollars and cents was all about, whether it was a viable transaction. It wasn't really the social aspect and what will happen to the greater community. So to me, the way it's been advertised, if you like, to the public, it's not, in my opinion, how it really is.
I was concerned that this was looking like, how do you put it, putting sugar around a poison pill, in other words, to try and we want this to happen, so make it happen, we want a report. That concerned me greatly.
ACIL Tasman told 7:30 South Australia it is not a cost-benefit study, it is a regional impact assessment. The state government did ask us to look at social, community and environmental impacts, but it is primarily an economic impact statement. Just how much money Treasury expects for the forests has never been publicly defined. The costs, though, of this debate to a government already on the nose with the public are mounting daily.
They need to do a U-turn on this, and I think they'll be praised for acknowledging a bad decision. That's what good politics and good policy should be about.